The number has increased over the last year. On average, I think we see about 30 complete diagnoses for the year. Roughly, we receive about 75 referrals per year. Since we've become established, the team has been active for the last 3 years. We've seen that number rise progressively as word of mouth has spread, and supportive services, when we talk about social institutions, have become more aware of our process and thus have been referring individuals to our clinic. I think the general rise in awareness of what FASD is, what it looks like, and maybe some of the things that we can watermark and show as, specific characteristics, allow people to have better awareness and also identify individuals that might need this service.
I really believe that legislation that looks at a single way to diagnose that's consistent across communities, across states, is really important because families are transient. You may think you're always going to live in Alaska or in Washington, D.C., but the odds are you're going to move somewhere else during the time that your child is with you. And it's so important that whatever diagnosis your child has, that information is going to be understood wherever you go so that the supports and services they need can continue to be provided no matter what place they're in. I think it's really important also that we look at making sure that the people on the diagnostic teams always have a parent advocate as a core team member, because each specialist on a multidisciplinary diagnostic team really focuses on their piece of the pie, so to speak. A parent advocate, having lived that life again, brings that really holistic approach to this isn't just an individual child, this is a child who is part of a family unit, and we need to look at the needs of everybody in the family unit. Can this family realistically provide therapy 3-4 times a week? So, what we're giving families as part of the diagnosis is a list of recommendations. Let's make sure those recommendations are realistic. And they're based on this family's reality and this family's availability of funding and transportation and time, so that it's going to be something that the family leaves feeling like, I can do this. This is something that I can do to help my child. And they don't leave feeling like we're never going to be able to help him because there's just too many things going on. So again, the value of having a parent advocate, a parent navigator, be part of that diagnostic process, just like any other neurodevelopmental clinic, is just vital as far as I'm concerned.
I work with the wave of these young people that are in transition age now and young adults. And so there may have been sort of lack of service when they were younger, but there's even more as they're older because there's no waiver for them. Most of them are do not qualify under ID, so there's nothing to support them. They may or may not get SSI. They need sort of the external brain mentor that can help them navigate systems. Trying to get them to keep a job is really challenging. Voc Rehab does an excellent job in assessing, but they don't know exactly how to support them in the long term when it comes to what they need on the job or how to put them in a job and give them the supports that they need. Housing is a huge thing for young people with FASD because there is not a lot of cause and effect, and if you don't have somebody sort of to mentor them, or somebody's not living in this apartment or wherever they are with them to check in on them, then there's certain things that they're just not able to do. I have a daughter right now that has been out on her own for about a year, and she's had to move home many times because things like, getting your rent paid on time, or social interactions at a job that happens and I don't know why I got fired, and then going through 5 jobs in, 6 weeks or something. It's, but if they had certain supports in place, that would be possible, but she didn't qualify for any services. I mean, there's nothing available to support her. So at the moment, she's living with a roommate. It's working out. She has a part-time job. We had her go to the Military Youth Academy. She did very well with the structure, but again, she got out. She was 16. There was no services in place. She couldn't get an apartment. She couldn't get a job, so we had her volunteer under a very structured environment, which helped her get work skills. But again, she lost several jobs before she could stick with one. But if, you know, and I have 2 kids that have special needs, so it's like the parents can't do everything all the time. There has to be someone else to step in and support them. And, you know, one of the other thoughts is that, you know, I travel with the clinics, and one of the things they talk about is people with FASD have this static encephalopathy, meaning the brain is not going to change, and yet they can't get any kind of funding or any kind of waiver under ID, or there's nothing available for them. And I don't know what's going to happen, because you know, our caseload since I've come here, you know, starting with 5, now I'm working with 42 families, and I don't know where to direct them as their kids age. So we don't have a system in place to help with housing or appropriate employment for them. Part of